Sugar causes stress. It is poisonous to the body. When someone adds a spoon of sugar to their tea, their consciousness activates an alarm. Get ready. Love is another word for God. If consciousness is love, then God is love and consciousness. There is nothing important in this world. Assigning importance is nothing but a fiction of the human mind. A person who maintains a spiritual practice rises above their ego. Simply because they maintain a spiritual practice, we should recognize that consciousness does not have a shape, therefore it is inherently free. But in itself, consciousness is pure radiance that cannot be compared to anything else. It is the so-called Supreme Self, Paramatman. Someone who is very close to me dumps a lot of negativity on me. How should I react to it? Let me tell you about George Gurdjieff. He was a mystic and a fakir. He created his own school of thought. He said our worst enemies are those who are closest to us. He never called for being enemies with our loved ones. He merely stated that a person who is not close to us, someone who is not a family member, not a loved one, is much easier to deal with. It is actually those close to us that get on our nerves more and more. It happens because you wish to prove to them that you are right and they are wrong. You, not you personally, but generally speaking, want to make that person realize that they are wrong on some issues, or should not act a certain way, etc. It's addictive and hard to stop. In such cases, familiar defense mechanisms are activated. They manifest themselves as attacking, defending, proving, and arguing. The sense of detachment that is part of our spiritual practice naturally eliminates this process. Start with telling yourself that no matter what others say, you know better, and it does not matter what others think about you. If you come to believe it, things will be easy for you. If not, then go along with everyone else and you'll be fine. Say a loved one says to you, "Let me tell you how you should do this," and you begin to fume on the inside. You know that what they are saying is wrong, and you say, "Oh, sure, fine. But I want you to understand why it gets you." There is only one reason for it, and it is your desire to show that you are different. Either you are right or they are wrong, but it is the same thing. It is a desire to clarify, to explain. It is a form of confrontation. Why? Because your relationship is a hook. Because you are very close to this person. The relationship is your stumbling block. But if you don't care about the relationship, it doesn't matter who says what. You might snap and that would be it. But in this case, this is someone very close. How is this possible? He should treat me well. Why does he say these things? Why is this happening? And so on. All this triggers response mechanisms. You begin to feel nervous. Consequently, you should strive to treat all people as if they were small children, whom you cannot scold because they are little and silly. A silly little child in a grown-up body, same thing. Just tell yourself that none of it matters. You may try to explain your point of view, but if the person wouldn't listen, what can you do? There is lightning and there is the ground. They interact, but it is always the iron rod that suffers because it is the conductor for everything. Let us say a person is dealing with some problems at work. They come home or meet you somewhere. They radiate these problems. It makes you suffer. It is called applying mechanical impact on you. This is a forceful intrusion. This person unwittingly passes the problem on to the one who, well, you in particular. You should from the very start establish a mindset that you don't care at all and will never get involved. It's none of your business. I don't care. However, you will be affected as you try to appease this person. This is because you step into interaction and say, "This is my loved one, I have to do something," and you just start taking things on. They offload some of the burden onto you. It makes them feel good while you are feeling bad again. Therefore, this entire load of issues is not worth worrying about. These people's problem is that they have to learn to deal with their issues themselves, not at someone else's expense. This is vampirism. So you just have to say, whatever happens, I don't care. It's a matter of time. You must stop getting involved. Your practice will help you learn to avoid getting involved. This has nothing to do with you. And if it concerns you in terms of, say, I want to help this person, there is more reason that you should not get involved, as you need to stay objective. Otherwise, how will you help if you begin to suffer from it yourself? Just try to understand that this whole world is an illusion, a game. You take this life too seriously. But these situations are really nothing. Indeed, they drain your life force. They are forgotten next day, but your strength is diminished because you are attached. Therefore, attachment is the reason for all suffering. So now we have come to the most important thing. A person who maintains a spiritual practice rises above their ego, simply because they maintain a spiritual practice. And through this Kriya practice, two very, very powerful, strong aspects are awakened. Yesterday, this young guy was asking about superpowers. I would like to point out that two very powerful, and this is the least that develops, very powerful abilities or superpowers. They are Vairagya and Viveka. Viveka is discernment in Sanskrit, the ability to separate the wheat from the chaff. When you know when to poke your nose into something and when to stay away, you know whether you should interfere or not, you know the difference and recognize the processes right away, and you understand when something has nothing to do with you. Vairagya is steadiness and powerful ability for detachment. These two abilities emerge. Just tell yourself that none of it matters. Does not matter at all. Because there is nothing important in this world, seriously. There is nothing important in this world. Assigning importance is nothing but a fiction of the human mind. The only important thing in this world is to understand the meaning of love and the nature of God and how He manifests Himself. Everything else is rubbish, it is dust. Here is a simple example for you. When some of you had COVID, it was like this. The body aches, and you don't care what's going on in the world. You don't even want to look around. Someone suffering from a headache doesn't want to meditate or eat. Or if something else ails them, God forbid. In this moment, where is the world? Where is its importance? What is the meaning of it when even the most interesting film leaves you indifferent simply because of the state you are in? When I look the other way, it does not mean that I've forgotten about you. It is just the questions are coming from over there. This is the reason I do not like it when people are dispersed. I like being able to see everyone. Unfortunately, this is the way this space is. So discernment and steadiness are developed through spiritual practice. That's it. Focus on the idea that the innumerable things that happen in life, I mean all those life experiences, including your daily routine or even some scientific research that seems important to you, everything, it's not worth worrying about. What is consciousness? Consciousness has no shape. Same as love. Love has no shape either. But love is a powerful, intense emotion experienced through consciousness. Love is another word for God. If consciousness is love, then God is love and consciousness. Consciousness has no shape. But we may surmise that it is like a crystal that shines with perfect radiance, with all the colors of the rainbow through the entire universe, etc. This is simply a metaphor. You may look at it this way if it inspires you. We should recognize that consciousness does not have a shape, therefore, it is inherently free. But in itself, consciousness is pure radiance that cannot be compared to anything else. It is the so-called Supreme Self, Paramatman. The self I am talking about is not an astral body, but the source of the astral body. The soul that people talk about is an astral body, which will eventually die if we do not make it perfect. That's why there is such a concept as death of the soul. A contradiction, right? The soul is immortal. The fact is that we are talking about different things. There is Atman, it is eternal, and there is the soul, which is sometimes called a shell that encapsulated Atman, and may also be considered the self. It holds the person's life experience, their emotions, their mental plane, and so on. And so such a soul, which has not acquired awareness of a higher order, disintegrates and dies. How does psychosomatics work? Look, psychosomatic reactions happen at various levels of consciousness. Let's say that there are certain psychologists who have a chart that describes this or that disease, putting it on the chart. Shoulder issues, here's what it means. One should say something. In other words, there is a methodology. In the scheme of things, take arms and legs and think about it. What do they refer to? Unwillingness. Unwillingness to act and unwillingness to walk, to go. It happens at the subconscious level. Unwillingness to go into a certain direction or towards something where our ego does not want to go. The result is the act of blocking. It could be an uncontrollable desire to rush somewhere, to move where one doesn't need to go. Again, a blockage happens. Then there are the left and right shoulders. To lean on someone's shoulder. Who can lean on another's shoulder? Whose shoulder can you lean on? Someone who's reliable, right? They call it a strong shoulder, a brother's shoulder. Let us say that your shoulders are hurt. Think about it. Could there be a connection to something? I try to guide you here. I do not want to give you any stereotypes, because then you would not think for yourselves and would not come to it independently. You must analyze everything yourself. All I can do is provide some direction. Also, the left side of the body is related to the female self, and the right one to the male self, both arms and legs. It has to do with lineage. Think about it. Are mission and self-realization the same thing? Mission, yes, you could say it is the same thing. When a person asks me, what is my or someone else's mission? I ask them back, well, if you become a doctor, are you sure you do not want to be a musician? If you like music, of course, I do want that. How about working in construction? Yes, I would like that too. You cannot be everything. You have to settle on something, but this is not your mission. Your mission is to become highly aware of your real self, which will help you master any profession. Take advantage of any opportunity and lend support to other people. You should not limit your soul to one thing or go only in one direction. The human eye sees, figuratively speaking, the 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock segment. And the segment from 2 to 10, the rest of the world's beauty, the part of the world that is hidden to it, the part the eye cannot see, because it rests on one thing, focuses on one type of vision, and does not really develop other abilities. The same happens here. If you develop specific abilities while losing others, it won't be comprehensive. You will develop comprehensively through Kriya Yoga, awaken your chakra centers, which are responsible for many abilities. As they open up, they will give you quality. You work with one technique, you use one method, that of Kriya Yoga, which works universally at all levels. And all of a sudden you start feeling that it is easy to write a poem, and you can sing, and you can listen, see, and understand in a new way. Previously, you did not understand metaphysical laws, but now you can understand it all. This is a comprehensive approach.